Welcome to Benevolence, where kindness matters and all are welcome to the table. I'm your host, Ceci Diaz. If this is your first time tuning in, welcome. Benevolence Podcast is a ministry where we uplift and encourage through testimonials and conversations that are important in our Christian walk. I pray that as you tune in every week, you are blessed, empowered, and encouraged to be the best version of yourself. You are tuning into episode 3, Girl Talk, Part 3. On this episode of Benevolence, I have the honor of having my best friend and partner in crime for over 10 years join me at the table to have our third Girl Talk. If you know Nisha, you can agree with me that she is an amazing and loyal friend. And not only is she beautiful on the outside, but she is so anointed and has a divine calling over her life. And I'm so blessed to have her in my life, and I'm so honored once again to have her join me on an episode of Benevolence. So without further ado, I have Janeesha Ilarraza joining me at the table today. Hi, Nisha.
Hi, Ceci.
Welcome to Benevolence.
Thank you for having me.
It's the third time.
I know. How crazy is that?
It's crazy. What was our first episode?
Oh my gosh. I don't know if I remember.
Really? I don't remember our first episode either. What did we talk about? I have no idea. I have no clue.
I'm trying to think.
I really don't know. But the second time you came was with Pam and Tiff. You remember? We were talking about friendships.
Was it singleness?
Oh, singleness.
It was singleness. Yeah.
So tell us a little bit of a recap. Give us a little recap.
Well, I'm still single.
Oh, I'm gonna put this. This is funny.
Yeah.
You're still single?
Yeah.
Guys, come on. Girls, listeners, if you know anybody out there that's
Stop.
30...
She's lying. Don't listen.
30 to 33. DM us at Benevolence Podcast on Instagram. We gotta hook this girl up on a blind date or something. No, I'm not. So let me know, guys, at Benevolence Podcast.
So, what were you going to talk about?
So, I wanted to stop changing the subject. I wanted to bring you on again just to have a girl talk, just to talk, because this year, it's already October. And this year
insane.
has been insane. So I wanted to talk about our year, our experiences, the good, the bad, and the ugly. Also, like what God has recently done for us. Earlier this month, if I'm not mistaken, right? It was October, right? First week of October, right? I think so.
Yeah.
Okay. And also to talk about friendships and answer some questions that I have here from a wonderful ministry out in San Antonio, Texas called Girl Defined. So
Yay.
I want to just cover all of those things and just have a normal girl talk with you.
Love it.
So let's begin with our year. Our year started fine. And then Kobe died. Rest in peace, Kobe. And then literally February, right? You have to cough.
Who's Kobe?
You don't know who Kobe Bryant is?
Oh, Kobe! Kobe Bryant!
Kobe died!
I know! I thought you were talking about, like, I don't know, it was just so random.
I'm talking about the year.
Kobe Bryant,
Kobe
one of my
died.
favorite players ever.
January.
Of course I know who he is.
Oh my God,
Rest
bro.
in peace, Kobe.
Rest in peace. I cannot believe, like, you're looking at me like, who the heck is Kobe? Oh, this episode is going to be
I know who
amazing.
Kobe is, of
Amazing.
course. One of my
Mind
favorite
you,
players.
listeners.
Rest in peace.
Okay. Mind you, listeners, we haven't talked in a long time. Every time we talk, there's a third or fourth person there. So
Yes.
this is our first time actually having a conversation. So yeah, going back to 2020.
Yes.
Kobe passed away.
Yeah, oh my gosh.
And then
honestly, for real.
Stop faking it.
I'm not faking it. I'm
okay.
serious. I literally cried.
No, I didn't cry.
No,
I was
cried.
just
I literally cried.
I was just sad.
And then his daughter being in the plane
And his
too.
daughter,
That
yeah.
was
I think
just-
that hurt me. Like, that hurt me the most. Because, you
Oh
know,
my
she
gosh.
hadn't lived her life.
Yeah.
So, she was still very young.
And she was talented.
And she was talented. She was on her way to... They were on on their way to a basketball game or something like that.
Or something like that.
Terrible. And then February hits.
Yeah.
And we get our first coronavirus positive outbreak in Washington State. Yeah. And then March comes and it finally reaches, right? It spreads nationwide.
Yeah, it was here because I remember like they were closing places down around that time already.
March 13th was my last day of school. Yeah. For spring break. We never went back. That was kind of crazy.
That's insane. Tell us like how you felt like with that, because I know you didn't. Your seniors, like was it like the grade you were teaching, you were never gonna see them again till like that's it?
Well, I wasn't teaching seniors earlier this year. I was teaching 10th grade. But it still applies because I haven't seen all of them since then. Like to this day.
Because probably some are still taking online.
They're still taking online. So to make a long story short, it was March 13th. I remember saying bye to everybody. Have a great spring break. All the while, this pandemic was spreading all over the nation, and we never went back. Yeah. And it was a mix of emotions because I honestly, I wanted my family to be protected, so I didn't want to go back to school. Yeah. So it was kind of like bittersweet in a way because I really didn't want to go back. But then again, I was like, dang, everything that we this whole year.
You got to know them more.
Yes. Like we were thriving. We were just about to take our first assessment, like our first FSA, and they never got to take it. Yeah. Now they have to take it now. So it was just like a shock. It was just literally a shock. But I will tell you that I had my highs and I had my lows throughout those months up until like June, because I think July I started going out. But I was in quarantine. I was like literally in the house for like 2 or 3 months. Yeah. It was crazy. And it took a toll because I haven't been inside of my house for, like, I'm an andariega, if you know what that means. Like, I love to go out. I love to go to stores.
But you're also kind of a homebody too.
I am, because I don't,
I feel like I'm a mixture of that too, because I love being home, but I also like to go out.
Yeah. So it affected my going out. Yeah. But then again, everybody was home, so I was kind of at peace with that. So yeah, it was sad because Victoria couldn't graduate from VPK like the normal way, from preschool. Yeah. And I didn't get to see my students, but
how was it having like a kid during this period? Like, because I know COVID, we didn't know really too much information. So like I'm sure you were very protective on like Victoria. So like, how was that like going? How is it having a kid going through this pandemic?
It's nerve-wracking. Like we didn't go anywhere because I didn't want her to get it. You know, because I think there were some cases of like some kids like passing away and stuff. Like I didn't want her to get it, and I didn't want any of us to get it either, of course. But it was just, I don't think she really noticed. Keep in mind, she's 5, so I don't think she noticed. She just noticed that like we were home a lot more, and I don't think she noticed. I think she noticed like our attitudes were a little bit more stressed. Yeah. Like we were more stressed out. And then after that, we sat down and we said, look, there's a sickness going around. Yeah. There's a sickness, and you know, people are dying from it.
I think for me,
tell me your experience.
I was low-key a little bit freaked out about the whole situation because I guess we didn't really have too much information, and it was just like all of a sudden this was happening. I was a little bit freaked out because, you know, my dad, you know, he did have a heart attack, and so he did have some heart issues, and I just wanted to make sure I was like safe and I was taking precautions because I didn't want to bring that into the household. So I really was home like every single day, like every day. So I think it was just a shocker for a lot of us because then we started seeing the numbers of people that were dying. So it was heartbreaking to see how many people like lost their lives because of this. Like, it's crazy how a sickness can like do this. Like, it's so crazy. I never thought I would experience this in my whole life. And the fact that we're living through this is honestly insane. I thought God would come by then. And like, so, yeah, man. And till this day, we're still going through it. And there's some cases like still happening.
And it's getting closer. Like, we know, some of our friends and acquaintances that unfortunately to this day in October, they're getting infected.
Yeah.
So it's just very unfortunate. So it's still out there. And like, no, this is not a political, episode, but it's just crazy how people deny it. People deny. People think it's a hoax, and it's not real. And then it comes so close to you.
Yeah.
How can you still deny something that's like literally coming close to your household? And I just don't get that.
I think the people that are acting like that just haven't experienced it close. You know what I mean? Like, a family member hasn't like experienced it, so they just like, oh, this is like gone, like COVID's done. No, it's like still happening.
Yep.
So
I agree. And
crazy.
Now that we've kind of covered COVID, like, the elections are in 2 weeks. I don't want to talk about politics, but how do you feel about all of this chaos that's happened? Like, Black Lives Matter, like the racial, like, injustice and like inequality against, our Black community and our white community and even our minority groups. Like, how has that affected your view of life?
Like I said before, I feel like this year, like, alone, so many things have happened. Like, so many things have happened. Like, I think we've ever experienced life more than ever this year than ever. You know what I mean? I think prayer has been my foundation through this, because God is the only source through this, like, pandemic, through the whole Black Lives Matter, everything that's been happening. God is literally the only person that can heal this world. And I think I'm just praying for everyone, that we can get through this. God sees no color. Like, God loves us all. You know what I mean? So I just pray that we can get through this and that 2021 can just come through. But honestly, my heart hurts for the people, for the Black lives that have lost their lives. It hurts for them, and I just rest in peace. But like I said, I think the only thing that can get us through this is God.
Yeah.
But how have you felt through this?
I don't know. It's affected me. It's affected me in a way where I definitely see the divide now.
Yes, I agree.
Before, I knew there was a divide.
Yeah, obviously, there was racism, obviously.
I knew there was a divide. But it became so, like, prominent this year. Like, it became so easily, like, to just, like, you could see it. Like, now you can see it visually. Because we would hear about it.
Yeah.
But now we can see it. And
you can't deny that Black lives have been, like, persecuted. You can't deny
persecuted.
That.
Absolutely.
You can't deny that. Even though God sees no color, this is happening right now.
This is happening.
You have to admit it. And I literally seen it with my own eyes.
Yeah, I have seen it. That. And, like, I don't have, like, my husband's not Black, but my husband is of dark color.
Yeah.
And earlier in our marriage, we experienced a very, very difficult racial situation.
Yeah.
We went to a diner up in North, Southeast, West Florida. And, when Anthony walked into that diner, all eyes were on him.
Wow, I think you told me this.
Yeah, and it was like the waiter didn't come.
Yeah.
I had to get up and ask for them to come.
They literally see the color and nothing else.
And I'm like, he's not even like, come on, my dude. Like, you don't even know him. And we felt so bad. And, like, Anthony felt targeted. I felt terrible, and I was there with my parents, too. My parents had never really experienced that before either. And for them to experience that with all of us, with Anthony as well, it was just devastating, So I get it. And I just remember, like, even growing up in high school, like, I always hung out, I always had Black friends. Always. Like, I don't know what it was. I never had like Latin friends. I guess I just didn't get along with my own, my own ethnic background. But I always had a black best friend, middle school, high school, and college. And it was like, the school friend that you always like were with. And,
I feel you.
And oh my goodness, like I can recall many times where they've gone, like I would wonder, like, why are they so angry? Why are they so, like, they feel so much, like, not bitterness, but they feel so just, I don't know.
Rage.
They have rage. Yeah. They have frustrations. And
it's honestly, I'll never understand.
But fortunately, I've never experienced it myself. But now I get it. As a 33-year-old adult, now I get why my school friends had that passion, were frustrated with not being treated equal. Because even back in the 2000s, my high school, like, I graduated high school in 2005. It was still, like, the divide was still very prominent. It was vivid. You could see in the school that all the black people were on one side of the school and all the Hispanics were on the other side.
Yeah.
And it was just a frustration that I didn't understand until now.
Yeah.
And I can agree that this has been going on and it's never ended, So I don't know. I just hope that whoever, I can't really say that right now, but whatever's next.
Yeah.
Whatever's next in our government, I hope that we can reconstruct.
Yeah.
And be better. Be better for ourselves, be better for our future generations, and be better for our country.
Yeah, and it's important to speak up. You know what I mean? Like, we need to more than ever.
Yes. Your voice, our voices matter, and they need to be heard, regardless. Exactly. So, November 3rd is coming very soon.
Yes.
And like I said before, we're not going to talk politics, but I just want to, I hope, because this episode's coming out after the person, like the individual wins.
Yeah. The president wins.
The president wins, whoever it is. But I just hope that, you made your voice heard through voting, because you need to go out to vote. Whoever, if you're from the left or the right, if you're from blue or the red, please make sure that you go out there and vote. Because even though you're not making your initial voice heard, like your physical voice heard, your audible voice, by voting, you're making your voice heard. Yeah. You know what I mean? So please make that. I hope you guys.
Not everybody has that right.
Not everybody has that right.
The fact that you do, it's important that you vote.
Yeah, absolutely. So moving on from politics and all of that, question about 2020, what have you learned? What has 2020 taught you?
Gosh, it taught me so much. 2020 has taught me how to be patient. It's taught me how to be more patient, actually. It's taught me to speak up more than ever because of everything that's been going on. It's taught me to be precautious in everything that I do. This year has been honestly super insane, but God literally has still been working through this chaos. And I think I've seen God's hand more than ever through this chaos. And I just have learned to really lean on God through this season. But yeah, that's what I've learned. What about you?
I've learned a lot of things. I've learned patience. I've learned to not put your trust in man, because man is going to fail you.
That's good.
Man will fail you every time, but God will not fail you. We've gone through a lot of changes in 2020.
A lot.
And it wasn't just a pandemic. It wasn't just, our emotional lives, but also like I would say our ministerial lives were kind of shaken too. Like,
because of the whole church thing. It was just shut down. How do we still reach out to people?
Exactly. Virtually, how, 2020 has shaken us to the core.
To the core.
To the core.
But yeah, you know what's so crazy? How all this has happened and like there was no church. But have you seen like the like church online has been so available to so many people?
Yes.
So it's kind of crazy how like although in the beginning we weren't able to physically be at church. I remember I would go in Facebook and I saw so many churches live.
Oh yeah.
I would go on Instagram. I saw so many churches live, and that was just so amazing to see that even through this chaos, people are still doing live services.
Exactly.
All that stuff. So I think that was an amazing benefit. Because of this, I feel like God's name was still being heard. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
so,
absolutely. The church doors were closed, but the church was still moving.
Exactly. Wow.
Like it was still moving. It was still going. So leading into our next like little topic here, I wanted to talk about what God has done for us, because although this year has been chaotic,
yeah,
in every single shape and form. Like,
I think we said chaotic or chaos so many times.
Yeah, because that's the word of 2020.
So
chaos.
Insane.
Insane. Another one. Yes. But God has been so good to us. And throughout this pandemic, we were given an opportunity to have a prophet who has come many times to our church.
We had a retreat.
We had a youth retreat, a leadership retreat. And he was invited. And, you know, if you don't know much about what that means, is like we're part of the Assemblies of God. So there's different denominations, and our church is part of the Assemblies of God denomination. And basically, you know, it's Christians, of course, but under the umbrella of Christianity, there's so many different things. But we believe in the gifts, the gifts of the Spirit. And we believe in the gift of prophecy, that God uses specific people and gives them that gift to relay messages from the Lord and confirmations to his people through many different crazy ways. So I wanted to kind of share. I don't want to share word for word because obviously it's private. Like what God told me was private. What God told you was private. But I would like for you to explain how throughout the chaos, God reminded you again.
Yeah. Wow. It's kind of crazy, like the way God works. You know what's kind of crazy is that we know exactly what we need to do, or we know that God has put us in different situations for a reason, but for some reason we still need that reminder.
Yes.
And we if we receive that reminder, amen. If we don't, we know that God still has our back. But when we get that reminder, man, that really like just lifts our spirits. So I just remember, you know, it's been a crazy year, and I just remember praying and asking God for certain things, certain just confirmations. And that night, or morning, because it was on the morning, that morning specifically, word for word that I prayed to God to confirm was spoken that day. And man, I'm excited, and I really needed that more than ever. So I'm just so thankful that God saw that day fit to speak over my life and to speak over your life. But it's so crazy. We'll get into that and later, but explain how, you know, you felt when God reminded you, you know, certain things.
So I'll tell you about what was told to me.
Of course, because it has to
do with what we're doing, what I'm doing, you know, our conversation and everything. Yeah. So, okay, so 2017, I launched Benevolence Podcast. It's been up for 2 years, and we're already in season 6. And, you know, there's many reasons why I do long breaks in between, is because, keep in mind, I am a mother, I'm a wife, I serve in church. So the time frame in between really gives me some time to really focus and pray and prepare for the next season. Because I don't want to just put out stuff that has no meaning. You know what I mean? Like some people, like I listen to other podcasts, like secular podcasts and stuff, and sometimes they're just talking and rambling, but that's not my purpose.
Substance.
Yeah, I want to have substance. I want to have a goal, a theme. So that's why I take my long breaks in between. So nothing. Wait, I don't even know what to say. The first time that I was spoken to was maybe last year. And I was called out by name. I was called out by name. My name is Cecilia Diaz, and the same prophet was at the church, and he literally called me by name.
Yeah.
He says, Cecilia. Yeah. I'm like, oh.
And then for me, he said Janeesha, which is kind of
But
crazy.
you weren't there.
I wasn't there.
We
That's
recorded
another
it.
story, but we'll talk about that another time.
You weren't there, but we recorded. As soon as we heard your name,
that's kind of crazy too.
We pressed record on our phones because, like, you have to have that. So basically, I was called, and I was called to the front. Went to the front, mind you. He called Anthony too. He said, Antonio. Antonio is Anthony in Spanish. So we go up. And tell me how this man doesn't know me. That was kind of like his second time there. Like, he doesn't know anybody. He looks at me in the eyes, and I'm like already bawling in tears.
You say it in Spanish. Are you going to say it in English?
Yeah, I'm going to say it in English because I'm going to say it. He was like, I see that you have listeners. Just like that. Like, boom. You have listeners. And in Spanish, it's called oyentes, right? He goes, tú tienes oyentes, meaning you have listeners. People listen to you, and they listen to what you have to say. And I'm already bawling because, like, I have my doubts.
Yeah.
When you're doing what you're supposed to do for the Lord, it's not gonna come easy.
Yeah,
it's gonna come with its setbacks. It's gonna come with its struggles and disappointments. You gotta struggle because you're setting other people free. And you're helping other people in their walk with Christ. So when you're in your calling, it's gonna hurt. And I mentioned that last season. When you are in your calling, it's going to hurt you. It's gonna hurt you.
Yeah.
So I've been struggling a lot, with my purpose, making sure that I'm doing what I'm supposed to. Yeah. And he calls me by name. He says, "Oh, you have listeners, and these listeners are listening to what you have to say." And something along the lines of like, God is going to continue to use you in that aspect. Like, keep doing what you're doing because, God is happy. God is, God is content with your work and all of that, right? So, mind you, the listeners, that was enough for me to know that it was Benevolence because podcast listeners, right? This time,
wow,
it was the end. He was leaving.
Yeah.
Remember that?
Yeah, same.
The same guy. He was leaving the place. He looks at Anthony. He looks at me. Anthony's my husband, by the way. And he's like, "Oh, you're a good-looking couple." I'm like, "Oh, thank you." Because I think we were dressed alike. We were wearing black and whatever. He's like, "You guys are together?" I'm like, yeah. And he goes, "Oh, this is my wife." I'm like, "Okay." Yo, this guy, he looks at me in the eye. And I'm waiting. And I'm waiting for him to say the name. Because I don't want to hear, like, I want to hear specific. So this is what he said to me. He says, looks at me dead in the eye. And I wasn't crying. I was like, let me not cry. Because I want to see this. Like, I want to see. If, like, I kind of challenged God and I said, like, not if you're real, because I know he's real. But, like, if you're really listening to me right now, say it. That's all I said. So he goes, you have the spirit of lifting people up. He goes, I see women and you like to lift them up. Then he goes, you have the spirit of benevolence. When he said that, obviously I bawled, cried my eyes out because that's what I wanted. I wanted to hear the name. I wanted to hear the name Benevolence.
Yeah.
And he said it, bro. He said it. And I'm not going to tell you whatever else he said.
Yeah.
But let's just say...
Why was that important for him to say it?
It was important for him to say because there are times where I feel like my prayers aren't reaching the heavens. And maybe they're not reaching the heavens, but I feel like he's not here sometimes. And I know he's here. I know he's here. I know he's home. I know he listens to me. And in addition to all of that word that he gave me, he also gave me the numbers of my house
and
my street. So he actually, I'm not gonna say specifics. I don't want you to know where I live. But he specifically looked at Anthony and said, like the numbers. Oh, you live here, here, and here, and I see this. Do you live in the street? And it was confirmed. Wow. So to me, that was God saying, like, I know where you live. I'm here. I see you. And that was everything.
That's exactly how I felt. Exactly.
That was everything that I needed. I needed to know that in my nights of doubt and anguish and insecurities and frustrations, where there's moments where I don't hear from the Lord, I needed to hear that He hears me. Yeah. He hears us.
That's good.
And the times we're sitting there at night and our minds are going buck wild crazy, He hears us. Those drives and those prayers in the car that I do every morning are not in vain. He hears me.
Wow.
You know? So it's like, I needed that. And that was everything that I needed for this season. So, like, I'm literally walking in boldness for season 6. Like, I know that I'm in the right place, no matter what comes my way, no matter what else happens, no matter what other people try to do, I'm in the right place. Exactly. I am walking in the purpose that God has, and I just need to wait and trust in His perfect timing, because although I feel like I'm not getting the recognition and the acknowledgement that I deserve,
you're getting the best acknowledgement from God.
Exactly. And that's all I need.
Yep.
So I wanted to share that. What do you think?
That's amazing. I love those reminders that God just gives us. And honestly, I don't really need it personally, but when we get those reminders, man, it really does something to our soul. So God, thank you.
Thank you, Jesus.
Thank you, Jesus.
Thank you, Jesus. And, you know, if you've never gotten those reminders, don't feel bad. Yeah. Because God speaks in different ways.
Exactly.
He speaks through a song on the radio, a verse that you come across, a person telling you what you need to hear at that moment. So, you know, don't fret, because you're going to hear it. You're going to hear the voice of God.
Yeah, and like sometimes God just lets us go through those little hurdles, little things, but just so that we can lean on Him. And that way He can just remind us that He's there, you know?
Amen.
So, man, God is so
God is good. So just continue praying those prayers. Yeah. Continue crying out to God. Continue doing what you're doing, because God sees you. And you may not hear from Him now, you know, but you will hear from Him. That's like a tongue twister. You will hear from Him. He's gonna answer you. He's gonna answer your prayers. So, so yeah, that was our experience. Although 2020 was chaotic, because that's our word of the episode. God pulled through. God still is God, and He's still sitting on that throne. Yes. Regardless of what happens, regardless of who's president now. Or who's going to be president in January. Regardless of the circumstances, God is still sitting on that throne. Amen. He rules. He rules it all. Hallelujah. So just be encouraged. Now, moving on. You and I have been friends for a long time, since 2007. What's the math of 2007? Wow. 10, 17, 13 years. 13 years. Yeah, because it's 10, like 2007, then 2017, and then plus 3.
13 years.
13 years.
Crazy.
The good, the bad, the ugly. We've gone through a lot. What have you learned this year about friendships?
I think I've learned, that's caught me off guard. Let me think about that. What have I learned? I've learned, you know, friends come and go, but the true ones, they really are ride or dies. And I can say that I have 3 amazing ride or diers, if that's a word. But man, it's okay to have a close-knit friendships. You don't have to have so many, you know. But man, I've learned to just Man, I don't know. What have you learned?
I haven't learned a thing.
I think we, first of all,
go ahead.
Through a pandemic, we literally stood in contact.
Yes.
So I guess I've learned how, like, the real ones, they really, like, reach out. And, like, you need to keep those friends close.
Yes,
you know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Because even through the pandemic, we still
tried.
We still tried, and that's important in friendships. You know, you need to, always try and just keep that conversation with your friends, just to show how much you care. You know what I mean? Because through this chaos, you need people close to you that are encouraging you. And because it was a crazy year. It's been a crazy year. It's not even done yet.
It's not done.
So you said nothing.
No. I've learned
But see, I'm trying to think too.
It's hard because I feel like we're still kind of like, we're still learning.
Yeah.
All I know is that when you are a true friend, you expose the good, the bad, and the ugly.
Yeah.
And you don't keep anything.
Yeah.
If you want a true friend, you gotta be you.
Yeah, you don't want to hide your true self.
You can't hide your true self. You can't be this person, like a fake. Like you can't, I know, I'm trying to come up with a better word, but I can't. Mm-hmm. You can't be mysterious. You gotta be straightforward.
Yeah.
You really got to be a true friend. And I feel like with true friend comes loyalty. Mm-hmm. It comes with unfiltered, unfiltered. Like the times that you guys have come over my house and we're here like crying, bawling. Yeah. And that's friendship. I feel like somebody that's accountable for you, someone who you can turn to. Because even married, like, I can't go to Anthony all the time. I can't. He doesn't understand. We're not the same people. Yeah. So going to my girlfriends really helps. So in addition to all of these friendships and what we've learned this year especially, I wanted to ask you some questions.
Okay.
And basically this was taken from a ministry down in San Antonio, Texas. Mm-hmm. We have a ministry called Girl Defines, and it's amazing. Amazing. And it's a ministry by Kristen Clark and Bethany Bale. And I came across their account and I fell in love with their ministry because
I know you were telling me.
It's just they're just amazing. And I don't even know them, but they're so amazing. So I came across their feed and I saw that they talked about friendships a few weeks ago. Mm-hmm. And they had some questions based off of how to deepen your relationship. Oh, wow. So I wanted to ask you these questions.
Okay. Oh, my gosh.
And then, I would answer too,
Yeah.
And so we'd go back and forth. So there's 10 questions, and you can actually go visit their account on Instagram. It's called @GirlDefines, and they're just an amazing ministry, and I would say follow them, get into their mentorship program, do whatever it is that you have to do to get plugged in with this ministry. It's amazing. So like I said, they posted something back in, I'm not sure, September. Mm-hmm. And it says 10 questions to deepen your friendships. Okay. So since we're talking about friendships and we're talking about loyalty and we're talking about being true and unfiltered and being there and being an accountability partner, I'm going to ask you some questions.
All right.
So the first question is, if you could change one thing about your life, what would it be and why?
Ooh.
These are deep.
Change something. I don't think I'll change anything, but if I had to change something, I think I was super shy when I was younger, and I didn't do a lot of things that I wanted to do in school. And for example, in high school, I was involved in I was involved in choir and all that stuff. But I really wanted to do like musicals and more stuff like that. But I was honestly too shy to do something on my own. So I think not even just that. I think I wish I was as confident as I am now. Back then, I think I would change that. But I did learn a great deal being, shy. I learned a lot, even through the season that I was extremely shy. So although I did go through that, and I would maybe if I had to, I'll change that. But yeah, that's about it. I don't think I would really change anything else.
Ditto. I feel the same way. I feel like I wasn't shy, but I should have been more involved in school. In like extracurricular activities and all of that. And in addition, there were probably a couple other decisions I could have made, better decisions I could have made back in my day.
Do you want to elaborate?
No, it's okay. You're going to have to listen to episode 1, so hopefully y'all heard episode 1.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. So there was definitely some decisions that I could have avoided. But God knows all things, and I'm still here today. So, great. Number 2, what makes you feel the most loved and cherished?
What makes me feel the most loved and cherished? I think I'm a words of affirmation type person. So when someone tells me, "Hey, you're doing good. Hey, I love you. Hey, this. Hey, that." You know what I mean? Like, I think words of affirmation is kind of like how I feel the most loved and cherished. Let me see if anything else. Gifts. Nah, it's okay. I mean, I like gifts, but I think words of affirmation overall is like how I feel the most loved and cherished. What about you?
Same.
Really?
Really.
Oh my gosh.
Now I'll add a little twist because I am married. Acts of service for sure.
Okay.
I need like the best thing that Anthony's. Okay, we've been married for 9 years, and the day before we went on our anniversary weekend, he was working. But he cleaned the house. So I came home to a vacuumed, mopped. All the clothes were washed and dried.
Whoa.
That's never happened in the 9 years we've been together.
Wow.
So that was big.
Okay.
But I do need affirmation. I need you to tell me that you love me. I need you to tell me that I'm your best friend. I need you to tell me that we're in this together. That's just how it is. Yeah. So that's the reason why we're best friends. We have a lot in common too.
Yeah.
So that's great. Moving on to number 3. What's one misconception people often have about you?
So, I think you've heard this in one of the other episodes, which I don't see it at all, but people say that I look like I have... What is it? What did you say?
What?
I'm mean. I look like I'm mean.
Like a mean girl?
Yeah, if you see me, I look like I'm mean. But I'm honestly, I'm so not mean. Like, I'm so nice. But I think that's a misconception that people have. Like, they just assume that I'm just mean or... I don't know. They're intimidated.
They're intimidated
by just me. That's a misconception.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. Misconception about me is that people probably think I'm rude. But I'm not rude. I'm an unfiltered... I'm going to kick your butt, bro. I'm just unfiltered.
You're not rude. You're real.
Yeah.
And I think you're real at the right times and you're real at the...
And I'm rude where I need to be.
Yeah, you're real at the bad times
I've come a long way, Niche.
You have.
Niche, I've come a long way. Like, I just stay quiet. Like, I'm not in the mood anymore to fight.
She just says it in her mind now. She'd be like, girl.
I do. But people think I'm a little rude because I'm a little standoffish. Like, I may look like not an approachable person, but I really, really am, and I really want you to approach me.
Yeah.
I really, really, like, deep inside, I want you to approach me, but I give off that vibe.
I guess for me, it's not. I don't know if it's they think I'm mean. I think they're just intimidated.
They're
Why
intimidated.
are they intimidated?
Because I think you have this. I don't know. You have this thing about you that's just very like.
Because Because if you look at me, you don't think I'm mean, right? You just think I'm just. I don't know. Like,
it's just like.
Oh wait, she thought I was stuck up. That's what it was. You said stuck up.
Yeah, because the way you carry yourself is like very like proper, but then again, you're like dying inside. Like, it's not what you think. So, anyways,
moving on.
Moving on. Number 4. Where do you see yourself in 5 years? Oh Jesus.
Oh my gosh.
I have one already.
So married.
Please, Lord, guys,
kids,
I need
hopefully.
at least your first
kids.
one.
With one kid at least, if not 2. I would like twins. So yeah, married. I would say really deep in my calling.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm just married for sure.
Yes.
Kids and really really fulfilling the calling that God has placed in my life.
Amen.
What about you?
I agree with everything you said.
You're already married. You have a kid.
Yes.
So just really fulfilling the calling that God has for your life then.
Yeah. Definitely, I want to be like, Benevolence has to have moved up to another level.
Yeah.
Of like the dream that I want
Exactly.
Benevolence to be in.
Coming soon. We will not say any details, but God knows.
God knows. God knows all things. God knows all things. So, yeah, I definitely want to be at a more larger platform with Benevolence Podcast. So, yeah. Next one. What do you find most challenging and most fulfilling about being a Christian? So, think you're a Christian. What's the most challenging, and then what's the most fulfilling?
I think the most challenging thing is continuously trying to find creative ways, or if not ways in general, on how to reach souls for Christ. It could be challenging, but it also can be super easy, just the way you approach it. I think my goal in life is to, in everything that I do, to inspire people to want to know who God is, whether it is through my job, through the gifts that God has given me. I just want to reach people for Christ. And I think the most, you said most rewarding thing in my Christian walk with God is seeing people accept Jesus as their Savior. That's just so, seeing lives completely transformed through God, knowing their testimony and seeing how the growth, I think that's extremely rewarding. So I guess they both coincide.
Yeah, that's good.
What about you?
What I find most challenging about being a Christian is...
Oh, I haven't... Okay, no, go. I'll say it after you.
What's most challenging is the set apart. Like, when you have, like, work friends that aren't believers, and, like, throughout my life, I've always been set apart. And although as much as I wanted to fit in, I couldn't. I was set apart. That was most challenging for me. And as a Christian, it's still to this day. Like, we try to, like, be in sort of mix, but God just doesn't want you. Yeah. He doesn't want you to be part of that. I agree
so 100%.
And then, like, the most fulfilling about being a Christian is knowing that what I had mentioned before, no matter what, God is still there for you. God is still sitting on the throne. God is God. You know what I mean? And He still holds the earth in His hand. He still holds your future. Hell can be raging right now. Yeah. You know what I mean? And, like, 2020 can be worse than what it is right now. But God still has a plan and a purpose, regardless of the circumstances. Like, wow,
Yeah, because who He is everything that we need.
Because who He is all we need.
Everything.
So that's what I feel. That's good stuff.
That's good.
Next, who has made the biggest impact in your life?
Who has made the biggest impact in my life? Mm-hmm. Wow, that's a deep question. I think a lot of people have, but if I had to choose, just one, I would say my parents. because they are one.
Mm-hmm.
I would say my parents, they've impacted my life in a tremendous way since childhood. You know, they're the ones that showed me what it is to be a true Christian. My dad's the one that, you know, taught me how to sing, and my mom's the one that showed me what it is to pray. The importance of a relationship with God. They both have showed me that. So I think if I had to choose anyone in the world, it would be my parents. And I'm so grateful to God for them. And, you know, my brother, he's impacted my life in a tremendous way as well.
That's awesome.
What about you?
Parents still, always. There will always be, like...
Top of the line.
Top of the line. But one particular person who's really made an impact is Anthony, my husband. Man, the way that man lives for God, and the way that he just pushes our family forward through prayer, and he does a lot of devotionals with God. Like, he's just a great example of, like, who I want to be.
Yeah.
And he always, like, plays around like, you want to be me, you want to be me. And it's true, I want to be him, because he has just this peace, like, it's like God-given peace. It's crazy.
That's beautiful.
You know, and he's a very big supporter in dreams, and he's a go-getter. Like, when I want to do something, he's like, okay, let's do it. Like, he's just great. So he's definitely been my biggest impact.
Wow. That's awesome.
For sure. If someone were to do one really kind thing to show you that they cared about you, what would they look like? Or what would that look like? So if someone were to do one really kind thing to you, to show that they cared about you, what would that look like?
I think for me...
That's a hard question.
Honestly, it's a really hard question. But I think for me, it's just being there. You know, being present in the moment. Not feeling like I'm trying to get their attention, or like just being present in the moment, being there. You know, I think that just shows that you care. So yeah, I would just say that, just be, because it's so hard. That's such a broad question. I honestly don't know how to respond to that. But if I had to respond, I'd just like being present, being there.
Yep, I agree. I'll take your answer, because it's true. Like, I don't want to have to work so hard for you to like me or whatever. Like, just be kind and just be there. You know.
Exactly.
What's the hardest thing you've walked through in your life so far? What's the hardest thing you've walked through in your life so far?
The hardest thing. Man, there's just a lot of things. The hardest thing, trying to always please people, is one of the hardest things that I've gone through. I'm a pleaser. Like, I care about what people think. I am a lot better now. But I did go through a season where I cared a lot about what people think. I never really fitted in, like, in school. Like, I was very shy, like I said. So I did go through some bullying. That was very hard for me to go through that. So yeah, I went through a lot of things in life, but there's a lot of things. I don't know if like we have the time to like talk about it, but I did care a lot of what people thought of me. I think that's kind of why I was so shy, why I was so reserved, and like the way I approached things, the way I, spoke. But yeah, I've learned through every season. What about you?
For me, the hardest thing that I've had to walk through is my insecurities.
Yeah. I think it's the same. It coincides because it's so many things.
It's just so many things, but if we were to just be broad about it, it's just insecurities in every aspect of life. Yeah. I always worry that I'm either saying too much or I'm not doing enough.
Yeah, it's like worrying about like...
Just in general.
In general.
I just have insecurities all over. So
exactly.
but
I agree.
It's a
But
process.
everybody goes through that.
Yep, for sure.
It's just important on what you do through it. Like, are you gonna let it like kill you and like bring you down, or are you gonna let it drive you?
Yeah, I agree. 9th question. We're almost done. What gets you super fired? Oh my God. What gets you super fired up? Good and bad. Something that gets me super fired up in a good way is doing things that make people happy. Like doing things that include other people.
Yeah.
I can see girls, women of all ages, like just feeling a part of something.
Yeah.
Even when they felt nothing. That's what gets me fired up. Benevolence, the model. Like where kindness matters and all are welcome to the table. That's what gets me fired up.
I agree 100%. Another thing is for me, like what gets me fired up in a good way is just seeing growth in people. Seeing how much they've grown and just, wow, it just impacts my life, because if they were able to get out of that situation and truly follow Christ, that's honestly gets me so fired up, so happy, and just shows the realness of who God is, like how God can change anyone, no matter what.
Yes.
So that definitely gets me fired up for good.
Yeah.
Fired up for bad.
Fired up for bad.
People that don't care. But that's one.
People who aren't real.
Yes, I would agree 100%.
That's just it. Like people who are just not real. Period.
Yeah.
Like honestly.
Yeah, I would
people
agree.
That just aren't real. That everything's just for show. Like that gets me angry. Because they're not being their true self. Last and final question, Nish. If someone said they'd pray for you every day for 1 year, what would you ask them to pray about?
Oh my goodness.
This is
one thing?
Yeah.
Oh man, I don't know if I can choose.
You have to. So if I came to you and I said, I'm going to pray for you every single day for 1 year, what do you want me to pray for you about? That's actually a great question.
If I had to choose, which I really don't want to choose one thing.
But you have to.
I think it would be peace, because I'm a big overthinker. So yeah, I think I would choose peace. Just pray for peace. That I just may have peace knowing that God is in control always. Just peace. So yeah, that would be my answer.
That'd be my answer too. That's why we're best friends, bro. Because we have a lot in common.
Yeah.
I'm a very big overthinker to the point where it breaks me.
Yeah, same.
It breaks me down. So if someone were to tell me that they were going to pray for me every single day, I would tell them to just pray for peace.
Peace.
Yep. Well, that's it.
Wow.
So if you're curious to know where these questions are coming from, they're coming from a ministry in San Antonio, Texas called Girl Defines. Please make sure that you follow them, you like them. God is just good.
God is great.
God is just so good. Nisha, I love you so much.
I love you.
I think we had a great girl talk today.
Me too.
We talked about a little bit of everything.
Everything.
And I'm just looking forward to 2021. And even if 2021 is not like a great year, God is still
on the move. He's still working.
He's still working. He's still we're still blessed. He's still gonna pull us through.
Amen.
He's still gonna. We're still called. His promises are still there. They're not void, because His word does not come back void.
Yes.
So, regardless of what 2021 looks like, we have God on our side, and that's all we need.
The chaos in 2020 is victory in 2021.
Yeah, victory. So thank you, Nish.
I love you
for joining me on an episode of Benevolence. I love you so much, and let's do this again.
You're the best.
I love you.
Mwah.
Mwah. And thank you all for tuning into Benevolence, where kindness matters and all are welcome to the table. Make sure to follow me on Instagram at Benevolence Podcast. Benevolence Podcast is available on iTunes, Google Play, Spotify, TuneIn, iHeart, or wherever you get your podcasts. Stay tuned for next Monday's episode of Benevolence. You don't want to miss it. Bye.